So I finished Prince of Thorns. I don't think it's for me. You should give another one of Mark Lawrence's series a try. No, I really don't. I don't think he'll be for me. It's just give him another try. Trust us. Okay, I'll go with Prince of Fools and Red Sister. I'll let you know what I think. Yeah, do that. Oh my God, it was so good. Yeah, we know. Now read Grey Sister. Wow. Seriously good sequel too. We know Mark Lawrence is really good at writing sequels. Okay, I apologize for being wrong. Grey Sister by Mark Lawrence, the second book. That was the worst opening skit I've ever done. The second book in the Book of the Ancestor series. Bit of advice for other content creators. Have backup batteries for your cameras. I didn't for the longest time. Thank you, Patreons, for allowing me to buy a bunch of really nice batteries for my camera. And now if I accidentally have one run out, I just swap. I just keep the swap, and we're good to go. For those of you who don't know, the Book of the Ancestor takes place in a very alternative fantasy world where we're on this dying planet that only has a strip of accessible land. It's just this icy, horrible death area, and there's a mirror in the sun keeping it like habitable for people, and that's about it. It's very interesting, very different than almost any other fantasy world I've read in a long, long time. But if you're familiar with Mark Lawrence's work, you know he likes his alternative kind of fantasy settings, whether it's dystopian destroyed Earth or this. Those are the two examples I have, but they're both pretty different. I thought Red Sister, the first entry in this series, was spectacular in its character work, which is a consistent quality of Mark Lawrence's writing, and with the connection that character made with the reader, as well as having an interesting plot, slowly rising stakes, very well and brutally handled action, and maybe the most important to me, fully realized relationships between characters that felt different between each of them. Like, to me, one of the tests between a good and a great author, a good author can write relationships and it's fine. You can tell, oh, they like them, they don't like them. Ugh. A great author has, oh, this is this person's best friend and here's their chemistry. And over here's another friend, but they don't have the same level of chemistry. They're more a little stilted around each other. And this person really likes him, but he hates them. And there's this kind of off-put balance. Like, that's the sign of a great author for me, because I'm such a sucker for friendships and relationship dynamics in general. So dig that. And Red Sister had all of that in spades. All so well done. But I've never read a sequel from Mark Lawrence before. Amazingly so. It's my first Mark Lawrence sequel. And I was a bit nervous going in. Maybe he can only set up these incredible scenarios, but he can't continue them. Well, no, that's not the case, because I found Grey Sister to be as good, I need a little bit of time to think about it, but possibly even better than Red Sister. Nona is a character who, when we first begin following her, doesn't feel like much in terms of intimidation or having to deal with them in any way, but the more she has developed, the more we follow her, she is gaining this agency, gaining this ability to speak, work, and defend for herself, and all of that is beginning to pay off, and having this character who we have been trained to care so much about turn into this beast in the page, badass mofo, is just wonderful. I'm enjoying it immensely. And that's often not fully earned with the author, because a lot of the times it's just, oh, this person's innocent and young, and then there's this switch flipped and they're able to kill everybody and defend themselves, and it's really obnoxious and lame. Not the case with Nona. Nona has gone through she has earned her stripes, and now she is achieving believable goals. And a lot of it is because she has friends around her, which, again, I love that. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you. Because if you have, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just like a middle schooler still at heart, but if you have like friends achieving things together, sacrificing for one another, working together and all that, I immediately just become like a mushy gushy, soft-hearted, like, guys, got it! Realize it, you're real! Now, I'm going to go ahead and just expose the, not necessarily spoilers of this book, but just talk about some things that happen as vaguely as I can. At a certain point in the story of Grey Sister, things take a turn. There's a change. And at this point, I was so emotionally drained because there's a lot of emotions for the reader to experience here. Not because the characters are believing in like over-the-top, annoying emotional ways, which is often how authors try to achieve like emotion in the page. No, everyone behaves human, but it's just such earned turning points, earned conflicts, earned realizations that as a reader, you're just like, ugh. And I can't talk about that without talking about the fact that you follow Abbess Glass quite a bit, and I am once again just everything here, everything marvelous. I am seeing this trilogy slowly working its way up the ranks for me in terms of fantasy. I am ecstatic to read Holy Sister. It's just by default now going to be bumped all the way up to the top of my TBR. I have to get through Holy Sister. This is the kind of effect that the Book of the Ancestor is having on me. Everything else is being put aside. I am reading Holy Sister next. End of story. But in summation of this review, the Book of the Ancestor trilogy for me so far has had remarkable theming of friendship and sacrifice, overcoming your past and having your past haunt you. Just the ability to evolve a character so well that I as a reader feel so ridiculously connected to them. Nona is one of the best protagonists I have read this year. I cannot wait to pick up Holy Sister. As I said, I'm just gonna do it. This isn't a lighthearted romp in fantasy. If you are only used to the brighter shade of things, maybe not up your alley. And I'm not into darker fantasy most of the time. This is just handled so well, and it's all so earned, it doesn't bother me whatsoever, because I feel like this is how it should be handled, and it's great. Because I feel like if you're going to go this dark, this is how you earn it. This is how you justify it. It makes sense in the setting, it makes sense in the characters, there is brighter moments, there is more lighthearted things happening here. There's this wonderful group of friendships at the center of things that just works. And Grey Sister did overcome what I think was a lot of people's biggest complaint about Red Sister beginning, where the book was kind of slower to get things moving and started. I found Grey Sister to be much more universally digestible in its pacing, and I think people who didn't necessarily love Red Sister and kind of had to push through it because they just thought it was a bit of a slog won't have that issue with Grey Sister, and I'm assuming if you've overcome that problem in your sequel with Holy Sister, it won't be an issue as well. So in summation, Grey Sister gets the glowing review from me. It's up there and definitely going to be in my top reads of the year. Do look forward to 3 videos coming from me in December this year, where I'll have the best books of 2019, the best books I've read in 2019, not necessarily being released in 2019, and then finally the best books of the decade, which is any book released from 2010 to 2020. And that's going to be quite the fun video to put together, because I'm going to try to do a nice, thorough explanation and recommendation for each book that I feel is necessary to recommend from the decade. Anyway, y'all, like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. And have a good one, y'all. Peace! And of course, I'd like to record a special shout out to my latest high tier Patreon. I'm gonna try and say your name as badass as I can. Drew Fane. I don't know if that worked at all. Thank you so much. Have a good one, y'all.